Hey guys, welcome to another episode of All Bass Creations, Effects, Tutorials, Demos, and Review. So, we're going to jump right in here. Hope y'all having a great day. If you haven't, hit that like button for me. So yeah, we have the amazing Mercury X here. And we just kind of, well, I'm not going to kind of show you guys how to, I know a lot of people have been, well, not a lot of people. I've been seeing some YouTube videos and seems like a few people have had, just this a little bit, have had a little bit of a hard time just getting their basic sounds. You know, of course, the Mercury X can do amazing sounds like that without. This is what that patch sounds like without it. That's the Enzo X, by the way. Very lush synth, right? Synth pad there already. But when you add and all that's literally the Mercury X doing that. So, just so you know, this is going to be as simple as possible. So we're going to start right at the pre-delay section, right? So you start here on the Mercury X. Let me see if I can get this camera a little closer. Let me see something real quick. Yeah. Let me move this out. Try to move this over real quick. See if we can get this done. So, in the meantime, while I'm doing this, which I should have did before, I don't know why I'm just thinking about it, but it happens. So, see if we can get you guys a better view here of this Mercury X. Let's get you a proper view. Can't really get it much closer than that, just because of kind of how everything is adjusted. But shot it. Yep. Hopefully everything. Yep. Should be fine. All right. So that's about as close as I'm going to get it at the moment. So hopefully that's a decent view for you guys. Make sure you chime in. Let me know if everything sounds good, looks good, all that good stuff. All right. So looks like we're straight here. All right. Cool. We're going to do this real quick. Show you how to get to just the reverb sounds. Like a lot of people trying to get to just their basic reverb sounds, this is how you do it. We're going to start at the pre-delay section on page 1, standard digital. We'll turn the feedback all the way off, so 0% feedback, and standard structure we'll worry about this time here in a second, keeping these right and left division off. What else we got here? We want to keep that on 0% dry. This is actually going to act as our actual pre-delay, not as a delay sound in this case. So, you know, you could use this section to create various delays as well. But, you know, we're going to start here, just creating a small amount of delay between when our sounds start, when the synth plays the sound, and when the actual effect from the Mercury X kicks in from the reverb section, right? So we'll start there. We'll start with something like the 79 Hall, just a basic reverb. We're not gonna do any of the settings just yet. We're actually going to go straight past straight to the delay section. I mean dynamic section. Turn that off. We basically want to turn everything off. Turn off the preamp, turn off the filter, turn off the modulation, set the mix to 100% for now, just so we can hear what's going on exactly with the reverb. Then we'll come to the reverb and make sure that we have this on 0% of the pre-delay. Starting to get to it. We'll go with this. Really drier sound. Oh, I definitely don't want to do it on this patch. I'm sorry, guys. I'm going to do all that real quick again because I just don't want to lose that. This is how fast you really can do it, if you know what you're doing. Bam, bam. It's on Cathedral right now, so we'll just put it on 79 Hall. No pre-delay, nothing. Turn the dynamic section off, preamp section off, filter off, pitch, and the modulate section off. So now we got just reverb. Now you hear I'm actually pressing the keyboard, but there's a delay. It's not from, it's still the sound. Now I'm getting that actual delay to where my dry sound will come through clean, and then the effect will start. So if I want that, the way I'm adjusting that time between when I'm playing and when it sounds is with the time in the pre-delay section. Let me see what we got here. Yeah, you probably will need. You probably will want to have something like the canvas line isolator for that. Really, if the color boxes last, you can use the color box as a DI, but get the yeah, definitely check you out a canvas line isolator, either the stereo mono version, and that'll help you use your pedal board pretty much as like your plug-in channel strip. Just run an line out from your mixer or your audio interface, and have that one of the outs that's not the main out, and have that run back run out to your pedals, and then run your pedals back to your mixer, and then bam, there you go. And then just adjust your latency, or and you can turn your DAW on low latency mode and things like that, and that should help you out. But all right, so if I want that time to be shorter, I can make this time a bigger number. So now it's almost like immediate. If I make it, so if I want a longer time, you're gonna have to bring it down like around 70 BPMs. I have mine set to BPMs. See, that's at 58. See, it's at 58 BPMs. So here's 100. One, two, three, four, 1, 2. So now, so basically that's kind of, you can use that very musically, the time with your song, to keep your effect coming in on beat, for a certain tempo or something. Now, if I want my dry signal, I just head over to the mix page. So, typically I don't want that much. I just want that original attack, so I'm gonna bring it up around. And I have that set to 300 BPMs right there. So, no problem, brother. Appreciate you chiming in. Make sure you subscribe. Hit that like button if you haven't already. So, now with our pre-delay set, now we can play with some of the different reverb algorithms. You know what I'm saying? So, choose to have some of the pre-delay. That's when you start getting that. This is just the pre-delay section. If you wanted to turn it into a delay setting, you just would turn that feedback up on the pre-delay section. Now you got your reverb, your delay sound, but when we want to use it as an actual pre-delay, we just keep that feedback down, and we keep on the reverb side, we keep that pre-delay blend all the way to 0. Now we're just getting reverb. So let's go through a few of the reverb algorithms. The ultra plate. Cathedral. Ultra plate one more time, just so you got a can hear it clear. Matter of fact, I'm gonna increase. Dang it! I know I didn't just do that. I sure enough did. I'm gonna save it this time. I keep doing it, but it's not hard to get back to. That's why I don't even be tripping off it. To be honest, like I don't know why I do that. I do that to myself. Because the pedal didn't do anything. That was me. I pressed the thing. My bad. But like I said, once you realize how to make things simple for yourself, before you add any of the other stuff, the pitch, the modulations, the preamp, or the dynamics, I just recommend that you familiarize yourself with the just press and hold that and save now. You ain't got to worry about it. Yeah, now we can hear it a lot better. So we got that at 300, no feedback. Bam. Yep. Okay. Cathedral. Cathedral also has pitch and everything. And this is stuff like pitch down, pitch up. It's just doing that automatically. Pitch octave down. Octave up. And of course you can determine how much that you want. So, you know, you got the decay there. Got your EQ as well, modulation. So, all right, and you got the spring. It's very quick. You can also, if you don't want to, in this case, you might not want to use the pre-delay section. Or, yeah, you might want to not use it at all. Just go straight to the pre-delay section, turn the dry blend on 100%. highs down in it. It's a spring. So it really just depends, you know, which reverb you're using. You also got the low frequencies as well. Frequency. 78 room. What's going on, folks? Appreciate y'all chiming in. This is a really nice room. I thought this was my room for a second. Looking around like, what? Crazy. Can you separate? Is that what that does? So this EQ is kind of different on this room, Jank. This is kind of. What's going on, folks? Appreciate you chiming in. Let me see. This I gotta pull out the manual. Let me check something. This is sweet. What exactly is that doing? Unique infinity mode. So if I just wanted a regular room, that's the mids. No, excuse me, this is the bass. Mids. Highs. But when I have everything on 100%, the bass, mids, and treble, it gives me that. I'm taking out the mids. Take the crossover. Oh my goodness. Stop playing with it. Sounds like the biggest room I've ever been in. I'm sorry, I really like that. That joint's crazy. That's the 70, what's that, 78 room. So it says a lively and direct sound. I would say that's very accurate. The algorithm is great for transforming static sounding virtual amps into difficult to capture sound of a great amp live in a room with you. Room algorithm features a unique infinite mode maxed out decay controls that interacts with the tank mod to provide deep chorus and flange reflections. So that's the tank mod. It was on low. Oh! To a room. So I wouldn't say that it's difficult to get to this. A lot of times, if you have on too much stuff, like I've always seen people, they always trying to have the too many elements on at once. With a pedal like this, there's so many layers. You want to strip it back a bit. So now we're literally just working with the reverb. Even before we go into adding delay or anything else, this is what the pedal is, it's a reverb pedal, so, it does everything else great too. It's a great drive pedal, a great freeze pedal, diffusion pedal, even a lo-fi pedal, great modulations, great filters, great modifiers and expression pedal routing. But the core of it is these amazing reverb algorithms. And I believe these are from a collaboration they did with another company too. You know what I'm saying? So, oh, that's a nice sounding reverb. definitely coming back to that. Here's the 78 plate. Just the decay, maxed out with the mids, bass, and treble on the 78 plate. I don't normally like plate sounds. Give it a little less decay. You can control how much diffusion you want in there as well. Trying to see exactly what this cross fade. I'm believing that's cross fade or cross. It just says cross. So it seems to take out a lot of the low frequencies there. Makes it like a, I'm not gonna lie, it makes it like it's its own instrument. What happens if I change the pre-delay to bucket brigade? What's going on, folks? Appreciate you chiming in. We just getting it in on the good old Mercury X. change that pre-delay. They're behaving slightly different. So this is the magnetic one. I originally had it on a digital one, which is really clean pre-delay. The magnetic one is like tape. This is the Bucket Brigade one. Notice they're all like slightly different sounds. But we'll go back to the digital. We're going to keep it simple just to keep it on the reverb focus a little bit more. Mind you, this is the sound without it. Let's make it real. No release. Remember, we just added just enough pre-delay to hear our sound come through first and then have the reverb come in. But you can set it to have that reverb come in real late. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, that's a cool feature. So if you turn up the bass, mids, and highs on the plate on the 78, it looks like on the 78 reverbs. So the 78 room, 78 plate, 78 hall. I'm assuming we're going to go to that next. Turn that high diffusion on. Let's go back to the pads. So adding a little bit of that dry and blending there keeps that. This would be a little less. All right, so we got the 78 Hall. So I guess you got separate decays for the treble, mids, and bass, it seems like. Seems like to me. Let me see. Put that. That's 100% mids. I thought it was a EQ. Originally thought it was an EQ. But this is actually, you're able to control the decay of the bass, mids, and the treble. That's insane. Here's just the treble. Might have to have his mid. It's like the mids one seems to. So it may not be, I think it's just the mid one. Like the mid one might be attached to the decay as well. Seems to me. Because I can add in the highs. that out, it is still keep sustaining. But if I take the mids out, the more I take the mids out, the less it sustains. So I get the vibe that the mids on, so the mids is kind of attached to, and I'll ask them about this when I get a chance. Luckily I have that ability. When I talk to them, I'll see if that mids on the 78 plate reverb, on reverbs are attached to that decay for sure. But it seems from my experimentation right now that it is. So, yeah. Another great sounding one. Here's my favorite reverb in the world. This is my absolute favorite reverb in the world. The Prism algorithm on. Come on. Come on. First of all, stop playing. That is an amazing sounding reverb. That's just sickening. Change the highs on that, make it a real dark reverb. Mind you, we haven't added anything yet. We're just doing the reverbs. This is what I'm saying about this pedal. If you try to digest too much at once with it, you won't get it. And get it to the fullest extent. But when you start to isolate things, like the other video I did was how to create different delays with the Mercury X. On another video, I showed you how to use the Mercury X as a end of your chain bass channel strip, or just like a channel strip for any instrument, because it has the compressors, the limiters, the high pass filters, low pass filters, all that good stuff, as well as the preamp section is amazing. You know, the op amp is my favorite for bass, and the tube and transistor ones. Tube is better for instruments that need a little bit brightness added to them, while the transistor preamp in here is good for things that need a little bit of a mid-range boost, and the op amp is a good all-around preamp for anything. Just add, and they all can add distortion or overdrive to your sound. This reverb is crazy. And all I did was crank up the mod speed there and bring down the depth. Now I'm gonna slow the mod speed and bring up. I'm gonna slow the mod speed down and bring up the depth. So that nice. And you can even change the modulation phase, so it doesn't just stay in phase. It like increases the stereo energy of it as well. And say I don't want it to be that much decay. You know, I can bring the room size down with the distance and the size. So the distance, I think of like how long the room is, you know, because this is the Prism reverb, so it's meant for you to basically be able to design your own room. And so the way I kind of think of it as the space, I mean the size is like the width of the room. Sorry, so this is making the room. Sounds like a really long hallway now to me. Like it's like I use the distance to make the sound go further away from me, like either forward or backwards, you know, in that direction. And I kind of use the size for the width of the room, how wide the room is. And then the decay is really, it's like how fast I want that sound to go away. So even if I had a really big room, like 100% size and the maximum distance, if I have that decay down, it still keeps that sound shorter. Like dampens the sound. Not dampens, because dampen would be like taking the high end out of the sound. But this is more like how much the sound sustains itself. But if I want a smaller room, if I want a skinnier room, I'll go with it. Smaller size. Bring some of this diffusion down. This is how it sounds with no diffusion. Zero size. It's almost like a delay again. And just so you know, reverb is made out of delay. And so is the modulations, like, chorus, phase, flanger, and filters. Filters are made from delay as well. What's going on, folks? Appreciate you chiming in. And this is the reverb algorithm. And I just changed the distance while the sound is going on. And this is just me playing with the distance and the size of the prism algorithm while it's still sounding. We'll take that, add some diffusion to it. No diffusion. Mind you, I haven't done anything but mess with the pre-delay section. All I did was allow the pre-delay section to turn into a delay section now. Excuse me. And I just turned off, by turning off the diffusion on the reverb, it pretty much turns it into a delay as well. So, you start getting those type of sounds. What's going on, folks? Appreciate that. Thank you. Make sure y'all hit that like button for me. Don't forget, that helps me out a tremendous amount, especially if this helps you out understand not just this pedal, but other pedals. It's pretty much similar, by going through most of the algorithms. They're pretty similar to how most reverbs will work, but with additional parameters to just, ain't really much I can't do. And just by turning on some diffusion. without it. Well, it's none but the oscillators and the filter on there, and the ToneX ones are on, and those are just on my tone model for chordal things from the JHS Colorbox V2. So this is where ToneX ones are amazing. You know, you can have, instead of having 2 color boxes or getting another color box, I have my color box I'm talking through now, and then I have another 2 color boxes running with the ToneX in stereo. So now I can have 2 stereo, like a stereo version of the JHS Colorbox V2. So, you know, yes, these are about $150, $179, something like that, usually on sale. So they add a nice little texture. It's very subtle, but nothing subtle about that. That's crazy. So we got one more algorithm left, the gravity, which is another one of my favorites in here. You can make this like a granular type. So you can use the mod feedback to get you some crazy textures in there. That's crazy. Let me turn this pre-delay back into a regular pre-delay section real quick. Turn the feedback on 0. Turn this into a delay. A digital type. Turn it into a digital type. And turn these left and right. There we go. So this gain definitely affects the it makes everything sing a little bit more. There's no octave on or anything. Drive blend coming out of the pre-delay section. So this is just the reverb section. This one also has an EQ to it, so I can tilt it toward darker sound. Straight up high pass. Which at that point it becomes like a synth almost. What? Goodness. So it basically could turn the mod speed of that reverb so fast that it actually starts to shift up. This is with the mod def on 100. So with the mod feedback up and the mod depth up, you can go so slow that it shifts down too. That's crazy. And in between, you can just like shift and from slower speeds. this is the reverb. That's insane. What's going on? Appreciate you chiming in. As you, all the usual suspects starting to pop in. Appreciate y'all support as usual. If you haven't already, hit that like button and subscribe. I definitely would appreciate it. Let me see what we got here. Yeah, so let me answer this. He got a few questions here. So at some point I will play the drums. You know, drums was my first instrument, but I'm much better at bass and piano. Piano I'm not as good as I am on bass, so but I'm a decent enough drummer to get you through there. So I actually gonna run the Mercury X, the drums through the Mercury X, and use it as a channel strip, and then I'm going to use some of the gated options when I go to like show off some of the gated options for the reverb. That's the only thing I'm not going over in the reverb section, people, is the gated portions of it, because there's, come on now, you don't need no other reverb pedal when you get this joint. I ain't gonna lie, I'm still finding out. Y'all seen how many hours I've been on here exploring this pedal, you know, and I always find new stuff. Even when I'm explaining stuff to y'all, I'm finding new stuff. And yes, yeah, the Enzo X and the Mercury X go amazing together, as you can hear now. It's all, the Mercury X is just going to take the Enzo X to another level. And the Enzo X already is on another level than other pedals, but the two together is just insane. And I suppose, you know, I would assume getting the LVX in the middle of those two would be even crazier. That would probably be my next move. So, and the LV, and they all have different modulations in them. You know what I'm saying? In addition to having different features, you know, but that's pretty cool. And yes, it's the Enzo X running into the two ToneX, left and right, and the Mercury X. And that's just running through my Jam Man Solo, which is not being used right now, into the Canvas stereo line isolator, which is helping that pristine sound come through that you're hearing. It's insane. Again, this is without it. And again, you can set up an expression pedal to control these things. You know, like if you wanted to control that speed. So you can even get like those ambient lower rumbling type sounds as well. It's very string-like. Tell me that's not like its own thing. That's like its own thing right there. I mean, not technically, yeah. I mean, not really. It's not the same thing. The algorithms are different. So, every algorithm is not the same. Like just because it's a reverb algorithm and it's like a hall reverb doesn't mean like it's the same quality, sound quality, and everything else. I do like the ones in Logic and Main Stage. You know, those will get you through if you don't have anything else. But if you want something on like a plug-in that would do that, Guitar Rig is gonna, give you some really nice options. You know what I'm saying? And you can get things very similar to the Mercury X. You know what I'm saying? But their algorithms, individual effects algorithms sound different. Like the shimmer on there is going to sound. I can get the Mercury X to sound like the shimmer on there, but you would have a hard time getting the shimmer on there to sound like all the shimmers that I could create with the Mercury X. Like this. This one actually sounds close to the one in Guitar Rig. This one sounds very similar. But the cool thing about the Mercury X is you got those other modules and things you can do different various things with. And don't get me wrong, I love the modulation section, like those newer modulations they added to the mod pack, I think it was called, in Guitar Rig. It's insane. So those modulations, this a chorus, a flanger, and a phaser in there. Those are great. It's got a good octaver in there. Like it's even got electro harmonics micro synth in the Guitar Rig 7. I mean, it's in the Guitar Rig 6. I have Guitar Rig 6, but Guitar Rig 7 gives you even better routing options. You can see it better. It's got modifiers and envelopes in there, things like that. It's got a lot of the same stuff that you do have in the Mercury X, just being honest. But the difference is, are you going to carry your laptop everywhere? Are you going to be fiddling around with the computer when you could just put it in a box on your board, and then have all those capabilities? You never have to open up your computer, and you can still edit the Mercury X with the computer as well. So, I definitely love Guitar Rig's effects. The Guitar Rig, if I'm being honest, has the best plug-in effects for any plug-in. And it'll beat out some pedals. It'll beat out a lot of pedals, not some pedals. Guitar Rig will actually stomp a lot of pedals, just not the Mercury X. It ain't. Plus, like their Prism algorithm in here, the Prism algorithm is so much more expansive in the Mercury X than it is the Enzo X. I can do so much more with it. And not only that, but, even the pre-delay section, that's like delays, all the different types of delays and stuff I would want to create. I pretty much can do all of that stuff within the Mercury X really at once. If I want a chorus delay running into a filter reverb, I can easily create that, and I can create several types of those, and then I have them in a pedal form ready to go, and at pristine quality. And unlike your computer, sometimes, I'm just being honest, Main Stage and Logic will shut out on you depending on how much CPU you're using and things like that. So I find like Guitar Rig is very heavy on the processing, especially when you want to have it with low latency. So that is something else that is a factor as well. So with this, no latency, you know what I'm saying? I have no problems with anything. The tracking is awesome. All the effects are awesome. For me, it's just a better, safer bet, and it's more durable than a computer is. A pedal is going to be more durable than your laptop. It just is what it is. So But yeah, we haven't even touched putting effects onto that. Like I could see where we at with time. Hold on 1 second, guys. Crystal. Crystal. Okay. I don't even want to get rid of that. I done said that about. I done went through just about all. I went through all these algorithms, and I'm still like. Every time I get to one, I find a setting where I'm like, I want to say that. I want to say that. I want to say that. Every single algorithm. Only one I can say I really not into is probably that spring one, and that's mostly because I'm not into spring reverbs by anybody. Like, there is no spring reverbs that I'm really into. You know, I'm like, that's not my go-to thing with reverbs. I actually like halls a lot, and but on here, man, the ultra plate on here, the cathedral, the 78 room, 78 plate, the 78 hall, prism, and gravity are all, I put those up against anybody's. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, definitely try it out, man. You'd be surprised. So I think the last thing I'm gonna do while I'm on here, not last thing, but we go ahead and save that right there so I don't have to try to get back to that. That's probably a little bit more complicated to get to than the other ones. So got a few options here in the dynamic section. I can add to things. I can add a nice, even more diffusion. Actually, that's really nice. Yeah, I like that there. We're gonna make a lo-fi delay. A lo-fi delay with like a, I don't know. But we're gonna come over here to the hazy. Made a real lo-fi tape type delay. You know, very nice. Yeah, that's fine. Now I want. Um, we're gonna go to the pitch. We're gonna put everything on the delay. I mean, on the reverb. warble back some. Add that to a modifier. Let's go LFO. Actually, I want a random. So we're going to put the filter frequency in the sampling hold. Change this pitch to there we go. Sounds much more pleasant. Let's add some transistor. Oh yeah, got the future impact on the way. Future impact, yeah. I love that pedal. Matter of fact, let's go and hit a little bit of future impact in there. In fact, I keep forgetting I have things programmed. I wanted to get it out the way a little faster. And that's literally the Mercury X doing all the work there for real. Oh yeah, yeah. You're gonna have some fun with that keytar and that Enzo X and the Future Impact together. Yep. Future Impact did some great lead sounds too, you know. So even all the bass sounds in my I have preset packs for both of those. So all these sounds that you're hearing are in those packs. They just are in the Enzo X. They're the finished sounds, like with the ambient section in there. But because I have the Enzo X, I have all those turned off here now. Like this is literally. I love I love this Mercury X. I'm not gonna lie to you. And with the Enzo X and the Future Impact V4 VIP and the double ToneX, oh my goodness. The sound just gets crazier and crazier the more I experiment with different things. Like you guys just literally saw me create that patch almost on accident. Like I was just scrolling through, showing you guys the reverbs, and I was like, okay, I got one I like. I found several I like, several settings I like. I'm gonna have to go back and make some more patches, for the preset pack that's gonna be on the Patreon. If you haven't already, like, subscribe, and join the Patreon. But the Future Impact and the Enzo X sounds are already on there, so I love how somehow it's like now this one bass synth sound, this is all I was doing. That's the whole sound. It just adds so much. Let's see. No, Future Impact is monophonic, no matter what you're playing. It's not gonna let you play chords. But the cool thing is you can have it set to be to prioritize different notes. So say you somehow wanted to play the Future Impact and something else together, it's going to prioritize that lowest note. And so say I play a chord right now. Now you're going to actually... Oh, it's set to last. This one's set to last. Now it's set to last. This particular setting is set to last note. So the very last note you play is the note it will, go with. Instead of it, it doesn't glitch out. It can be set to the lowest note only, It can be set to the highest note. It can do a lot of little different stuff like that that'll compensate for that when you're using it. Say you wanted to stack two sounds and you wanted, for some reason you wanted to play the Future Impact and the polyphonic Enzo X together. You know what I'm saying? It has ways where it can help mitigate that fact that you want it as the lowest note there. No, everything you're hearing right now is the Future Impact in the Mercury X. So all I'm doing with the Future Impact is all I'm doing. This is all the same sound. That's why I told man, you ain't beating the Future Impact when it comes to them vintage bass and vintage like Moog and ARP 2600 type sounds, you ain't gonna. And it'll fit in your pocket. So, and you know, with MIDI, so basically I have the Enzo X. You have to have them on different MIDI channels. So you have MIDI channels 1 through 16, and then so I have, and that's just in general. You know, that's all the MIDI channels you're allowed. You know, so I have the Hog 2 on channel 1, Future Impact on channel 2, Enzo X on channel 3. And the Mercury X on channel 5. I used to have the HX one in the middle here, and that was on channel 4. But once you have it set up for the different channels, if you want to do preset changes with MIDI, you set up PC changes, which is program changes, and you set the program change. So if I wanted to go to this sound on the Enzo X, which is preset number 53, I would set it for channel 3, because this is on channel 3, MIDI channel 3, and then I set it for a PC message, and then I set that PC message to a value of 53, and it would know to go to that preset there. And the same thing for the Mercury X, same thing for the Future Impact and the Hog 2. If you want to control parameters, you use CC messages, which is control changes. And control changes is just going to allow you to be able to, say I wanted to control one of these parameters like I was doing live, or if I wanted to change the pitch or the level or anything any of the parameters I can control with MIDI, I'll do that through a CC message. So for instance, I wanted to change the speed of the modulation in here. So whatever, say that's CC message 4, number 4, I have to set it to whatever MIDI controller I'm using. I have to set that to channel 3, because the Enzo X is on MIDI channel 3. Then I have to set it for a CC message, and then set that CC message number to number 4, and then set the value as value range as well. So, you know, on something like the MIDI captain allows you to toggle things on and off. So it'll toggle between 0 and 127. So from 0 to 63 is off for most, if it's an on and off thing in MIDI. And from 64 to 127 is on. And I know it's a lot to remember, but it'll be in the manuals too. But yeah, I actually got to run, guys. I definitely appreciate y'all hanging out with me for another episode of All Bass Creations, Effects, Tutorials, Demos, and Review. You know, I hope this helped y'all out with the Mercury X. I know a lot of people get intimidated by something like that. Say, you know, that may be a bit much. It's really not that much if you know what you're doing. You know, like I said, I suggest turning everything off first, the preamp section, the dynamics, the modulation section, and the pitch section as well, and the filter. Turn all that off and just work. Start with the pre-delay on feedback 0. You know what I'm saying? Or just go to the pre-delay section, go to the second page, and turn the dry blend all the way up, and just work with the reverb section of the pedal, so you can really learn what you're doing and hear the actual reverbs, and then start to explore adding in the other sections and exploring the location of those sections. You know, so if I want the filter to affect my dry sound, I have to set the location to dry and pre. You see what I'm saying? So you can't just expect it to go on your dry signal because it turned on. Sometimes it might be in the location of post, which is after everything. So meaning the filter would be one of the last things in the effects chain after the reverb. So it makes a huge difference, you know. But you don't want to start out with all that. Just turn all that off and start with the reverb algorithms and find some settings with that you like, and that'll get you your basic settings a lot sooner than trying to do everything at once. You know, same thing with the Enzo X. When you're trying to create a new patch on the Enzo X, turn all that stuff off. The drive section, the modulation section, and try to neutralize the filter. There's ways to do that to where it's just like an open sound, and then go from there. You know what I'm saying? I don't even know if you can turn the filter section off on here. Nope. You can't turn it off on the Enzo X, but you can turn the resonance all the way down, open the filter all the way up, and make sure that you don't have turn the attack and the decay on 0, sustain all the way up, and sustain level all the way up, and turn the release all the way down on the amp envelope, and that'll give you just the oscillator sound. And do the same for the filter as well, envelope. So yeah, I hope that helps you when you're dealing with these Meris Series X pedals. Dial the stuff back, because a lot of the presets already have a lot of stuff on, so you don't need to put it on. When you're trying to really figure it out, you can hear the possibilities, with the presets, and then go from there, pick a preset or something you don't like, and start dial everything back and start crafting your stuff from there. But all right, guys, you guys have a wonderful evening. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you check out the Patreon for my preset packs for various pedals, the ToneX pedals, Enzo X, Future Impact, Source Audios, C4 Synth, Zoom MS-70 CDR Plus, MS-60B Plus, Zoom B6. All that stuff is on the Patreon. So as well as if you just want to support the channel every month. But thank you guys for hanging with me. I appreciate it. All the love. I will catch you guys next time. Peace.